What's up, guys? Welcome back to the garage. Gerald here with you. 23 films that I saw in the month of July. Cinephile status restored. And as usual, I'm going to do an old-fashioned tier list to rank these suckers, let you guys know what I thought. Let's go over the tiers, and then we'll get into the films, and I will start ranking some suckers. Because I watched 23 movies in the month of July, including several at the cinemas, because I support the theaters because I am a crazy cinephile. However, I was also covering Fantasia Fest, which is a kind of like horror freaky cinema festival that takes place in Canada every year, and I got remote access for the first time this year. So I did watch several kind of independent horror, sci-fi, thriller films that may or may not get mainstream releases, but there are a couple that I want to point out to you and tell you about because hopefully they'll be available to stream on demand. I want you to add them to your watch list, especially if you have Letterboxd. So real quick, the tiers are the same for the monthly rankings, but in case this is your first time tuning in, top tier, the S tier is perfection. That's like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. Pretty damn good is anything in that 7 to 8 range. Sure, I guess is like middle of the road. That's like a 5 to a 6 out of 10. No Thanks is a movie that like I didn't completely hate. It had some redeeming qualities, but overall I'm probably never going to watch it again. And then the bottom tier is Please Stop. That would be anything like a 4 out of 10 or less. I don't know if I had any this month. I feel like it was a pretty good month for me. Let's get started. All right, I just caught up with Bring Her Back, which is a movie that actually came out, I believe, in May or June, but I just got a chance to see it for the first time. The same dudes that did Talk to Me. And I'll tell you, this is better than Talk to Me. I actually enjoyed it more. It would probably be around an 8, definitely a 7, to an 8 out of 10. Bring Her Back is fucking freaky. Sally Hawkins in that movie. Like, if we were giving out horror Oscars, she should be nominated for her performance in that. I actually had her in my mid-season awards as one of the best female performances so far this year. Chasing Amy, I'm also going to put on pretty damn good. That's a documentary about the filmmaker that made the documentary is a trans man, so it's a woman that transitioned to a boy, and the reason that he had the courage to do that and to come out and to go through the transition was because of the movie Chasing Amy. He's a super fan of the movie. Kevin Smith got wind of that and is in the documentary, helped the movie to get made. So it's a really cool documentary, especially if you're a Kevin Smith fan. Check that one out. Speaking of documentaries, I'm going to put this actually on perfection because it's probably around a 9 out of 10, but this is a documentary called Diane Warren Relentless. And if you know Diane Warren, or if you're familiar with the Academy Awards, you probably know her, but she's been nominated 16 times, even more than Glenn Close, Meryl Streep, for original song, in most cases, being the composer of the tune, the songwriter, and has never won. 16 nominations with 0 wins. Some of the losses are baffling. Other ones are pretty obvious, like she lost to My Heart Will Go On from Titanic one year, which, I mean, of course she did. And I like that the documentary spent a big chunk of time on that, and Diane Warren, as a talking head in her own documentary, was very candid about it. And it was really eye-opening for me to see like how important it actually was to her that she get that. Now, they gave her an honorary Oscar a couple years ago, but she's not won a competitive Oscar, and it's something that really kind of is like a roadblock in her career, which is weird because she's like probably the most successful songwriter of all time. A movie that I love, that I champion, that has been super divisive is this guy right here, Eddington. Guess what? Pretty damn good. It's right around an 8 out of 10 for me. Ari Aster, you know, I didn't like Beau is Afraid, and that would still be the bottom of the list for me for Aster films, but Eddington I liked a little bit more. So it's Hereditary, Midsommar, Eddington, Beau is Afraid. That's the ranking for Ari Aster mainstream releases for me. I think people are looking at Eddington as too literal. The COVID thing, the right-wing stuff, or even left-wing if you're a right-wing person. It's not meant to be taken that literal, I don't think, and I think Aster was doing it more as a ruse to kind of show us that we were all in the same boat regardless of what our beliefs or background were. We were all dealing with the pandemic, and we all dealt with it in the ways that we saw fit. And the performances in the film are stellar as well. So I liked it a lot. I know it's divisive, but it was a film that I can definitely get behind. Fantastic Four First Steps. I did a full review of that one and Eddington on the channel, by the way. And I'll tag those on this video for you if you want to check out my full thoughts. But I also gave this one around an 8 out of 10. You know, the superhero genre is back for me. I know some of you have loved it forever, but ever since Endgame, there's been a couple ones that I've enjoyed. But for the most part, I've kind of hated that whole genre. It's all just really loud CGI and explosions and no character depth, and it's ugly filmmaking in my opinion. But with Thunderbolts, with Fantastic Four First Steps, and to some degree with Superman. We'll get to that one on this list in a minute. I feel like we're on a run now where the films are incorporating a lot of the elements that were missing for me that we used to get with all of these, dating back to 80s, 90s, and even up through the MCU through Endgame, really. Next, we got a little international film called Foreigner. This is one of the ones that I saw for Fantasia Fest. I'll put the Fantasia Fest link in the description below too if you want to check out the full slate of movies that they had this year. There was over 150 titles. I only got to see about 10 or 12 of them. But this one I really liked. It wasn't my favorite of the fest. I'm actually doing that top 5 list. But it would probably sit around 7 or 8th overall. It's probably going to be around a 7 out of 10. So I'll put it on the sure I guess tier because it ran out of gas in the second half of the movie. The easiest way I can kind of sum up Foreigner is it's basically like Mean Girls or Clueless as a horror film. So they're these kind of like preppy clique girls in a high school, similar to the Mean Girls crew. But there's some weird shit going on, and we find out throughout the course of the movie, some like supernatural, demonic kind of shit. And like I said, once we have that reveal about halfway through the movie, it's really cool to kind of like piece that back together to the main characters. But then for the next hour or so, it just kind of like continued on a downward trajectory in terms of like excitement for the plots. Happy Gilmore 2. You know, the month of July, I'm realizing, was a month of divisiveness, division amongst the critical community, YouTube movie critics. And I'm falling on the positive side, the half glass full side on a lot of this stuff. I already talked to you about Eddington. I'm not going to put Happy Gilmore 2 on pretty damn good, but I am going to put it on sure, I guess, because it is right in that 6 to 7 range for me. And most people are shitting on it. Most people would probably put it down here in these bottom couple tiers. And maybe some of my friends have. I haven't watched their ranking videos for the month yet. But for me, it was enough joy and nostalgia in that movie. I mean, simply Adam Sandler's Happy Gilmore alone would really be enough. And then I loved a lot of the cameos in it. I'm not going to mention them because I don't want to spoil some of them, but there's some freaking crazy ones. I mean, there's like 25 cameos in this movie at least. John Daly, who is not a spoiler because he's in some of the trailers, the famous golfer, is kind of like Happy's roommate that lives in his garage and is just drunk all day. I think that's what he does in real life, but he was great in the movie. I liked it. You know, I'm a defender of this movie. I think if you like the first one, you should like this. So that's why I'm like literally baffled by folks that don't. Now look, it's not a good movie. I'm definitely not saying it's a good movie, but I enjoyed my time with it. I laughed. I had a good time. I would watch it again. My son wants to watch it, so we're going to watch it again on Netflix. It's the Sandman, baby. It's Happy Gilmore 2. What else do you need? Now, what I didn't have as much fun with was Heads of State. I'm going to put that on the no thanks tier. It had some redeeming qualities, mostly the comedic timing of John Cena. He's fucking perfect in everything he's in. He's just so funny to me, and I think it's effortless funny too. And then Idris Elba's great. So the performances are good, and there's great chemistry among the cast. But this is just a formulaic action movie that's super, you have to suspend disbelief like from the first 10 seconds of the movie. So the performances helped it for me. I don't think I would be rewatching this thing anytime soon. Hold the Fort is another independent sci-fi horror movie that I'm also going to put on pretty damn good. That was one I also saw at Fantasia Fest. And the premise of this movie, and then I'll move on, but I loved it. It was so goddamn funny. I was in stitches watching this movie. It's a horror comedy about a new couple that moves into a neighborhood, and we find out that the homeowners association in this neighborhood, the reason it's such like a Pleasantville, like perfect community and everything's like beautiful and perfect and everybody's so happy, is because once a year, the entire community has to participate in a ritual where they kill demons that come out of a portal. And if you don't do that, the homeowners association will fine you. And it's like hilariously biting at the commentary of the HOA for people that have had to deal with that before and how evil they tend to be. And in this case, it kind of flips it and makes them the hero. There's some hilarious over-the-top performances in this. So if you like horror comedies, it is a great time. It's really short too. It's like 75 minutes long. I had a great time with this thing. It was one of my favorite movies of the fest. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Unfortunately, not the 97 version, but the 2025 version, which is a piece of shit. No thanks. I also did a full review of this on the channel because I was so pissed when I went out at midnight to see it. And not only is it not good, I would venture to say that it actually slaps the original in the face a little bit. There was no reason, none whatsoever, to bring Freddie Prinze and Jennifer Love Hewitt and even Sarah Michelle Gellar in flashbacks. There was no reason to bring those characters back for this movie. They did not need to be there. It was clearly to connect them to the story, a legacy sequel, to have those characters to draw in the nostalgic crowd. I would much rather you spend your time watching the original from '97 and that first sequel, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Those two back to back was a much better time spent than watching this piece of shit. K-pop Demon Hunters, another one that I did a full review on, is going to go up on the perfection tier. S tier alert. This shit is a fucking banger. This movie is the best animated movie of the year so far. It's also in my top 10 films of the year overall. It is a film that incorporates a very similar Lord Miller Spider-Verse style of animation mixed with this like high energy pop art concept of K-pop. But it's like these K-pop singers, and the reason that they make hits and they continue to sing and do concerts is to keep a demon portal. We're talking about demons a lot on this episode. To keep the demon portal closed. I can't remember what they call it, but anyway, if the demons get into the real world, they start killing people. They're fans, basically. So the demons keep getting blocked out by the K-pop energy, right? So it's a cool little twist. It's like their superpowers, they're singing and dancing and all that. So the demons think, well, wait a second, what if we do a K-pop group? So you have the all-female K-pop group that is defending against the demons, and then the demons are dudes, so they basically form a boy band in human form, and they come into the portal, and they start gaining fans. So now the demons are permeating the real world, and then there's a plot twist between the relationship between one from each group, and you find that out over the course of the movie, which is a really cool plot twist. And since I talk a lot about the award season, I will tell you, I think it's going to be nominated for Best Animated Feature, but I also think it's going to get nominated for Best Original Song because Netflix decided to release it so that it would be eligible for various awards. So look forward to getting an Original Song nomination and an Animated Feature nomination, and I think both are well-deserved. It's one of my favorite movies of this year. Marshmallow is a kind of a camp slasher without slashing. It's really hard to explain. It's also really hard to talk about this movie without spoiling it because the reveal in the last act or the plot twist is the best part of the movie, but I can't really talk about that. So I'll just describe it as it's like a 1980s, sleepaway camp, Friday the 13th type vibe. And these young kids are there for a week at this camp, and they're in the, I think, 12 to 14 year range. They're early teens. And there's some stalkers on the camp that are terrorizing the children, and they think it's based on a ghost story that some of the counselors told them. So that's like playing with you too, because you're like, well, these kids imagining this, because sometimes kids hear stories, they get scared, or is this real? Is that person really dressed like that, or whatever? And then, like I said, we get a reveal in the last act that kind of just blows your mind. It really just takes everything that you've been watching and just gives you a completely different perspective on it. So for that reason, it was cool, and it was good. I enjoyed it. I mean, I would probably sit around a 7 out of 10, 6 at least. Q Lawrence is a young boy actor who is actually showing up in 2 movies that I watched this month, and I didn't even realize that. And I was like, he is really good child actor. He's both of these films that I saw him in, he was really, really good carrying the material as like the anchor of both of these films. But Marshmallow is available on demand. If you like camp slashers, it's definitely a unique twist on that subgenre. I just did a full review for The Naked Gun, the remake, and I'm gonna put it on perfection because I gave it a 9 out of 10. By the way, if you guys know, I rank these, I reorder them and tell you what, 1 through whatever is when I get done. But it's definitely up there on the top tier for now because it was talk about laughing. I talked about laughing throughout the entire Hold the Fort. This was a good month for that because I did the same thing with Naked Gun. Watch my full review, but Liam Neeson, Pamela Anderson, Paul Walter Hauser, the whole crew, the Lonely Island, part of the writing team for this. It is funny from beginning to end. Like, even when the dialogue's not funny, there's something going on in the background that if you notice it, you'll fucking die laughing. And it's going to command rewatchability because you're not going to get all these jokes. You're not going to see all the references. You got to go back and watch it, which I'm actually excited to do. Then we have a little kind of like romantic comedy, I would say, with a tinge of thriller elements to it. I wouldn't say horror necessarily, although it kind of brings in the home invasion genre a little bit. But it's I guess I'll just say romantic thriller called Oh Hi, which is a play on the town that they're going to. Molly Gordon is our star here, and I fucking love her, which helps. Another one where it's really hard to kind of talk about past that halfway point because I don't really want to give away kind of what happens, but the general premise that you can also get from the trailer is that Logan Lerman is her new boyfriend. They're kind of like in the honeymoon phase of their relationship, and they go on this weekend getaway, and he gets them an Airbnb. It's a really nice farmhouse, secluded out in the middle of a town that sounds like Ojai. Once there, she tells him she loves him or something like that, or that, she's glad that he's her boyfriend or something to that effect. And it turns out, make a long story short, that he's not in the relationship for a long-term boyfriend-girlfriend. He doesn't necessarily love her back in that way. And when she realizes that is not what she thought, she snaps and she loses it. And she ends up chaining him to the bed for 24 hours to essentially do these different things to try to get him to reciprocate her love and admit that he actually wants to be with her. And of course, even if he was on the fence, that's going to be a red flag, right? It is a good film that I recommend, if for no other reason because Molly Gordon is absolute perfection in this. And dude, Logan Lerman, be with her, bro. It's Molly Gordon, you know what I'm saying? Queen of the Ring tells the story of Mildred Burke, which was the first like famous female pro wrestler. I'm going to put it on no thanks, unfortunately, because it really intrigued me, and I did like some things about it. Walter Goggins is in this, and he's a badass. He's hilarious in it. It's not bad. It's just in terms of a biopic, especially like with stuff that we've been getting with the Iron Claw, and we have the Smashing Machine come out, like hyper realistic, super dramatic. Queen of the Ring just felt like kind of a Lifetime movie, like a TV movie with this subject matter. And it also was weirdly paced. It's way too long. It's almost 2.5 hours long. And they like sped up some of the like what seemingly was important stuff in her career. And then when we got to the slower moments, they dragged it out. So it was weirdly paced and wasn't edited very well. So I didn't hate it. That's why it's going to go on the no thanks tier. It's probably around a 5 out of 10 for me. That's not one of my favorites. Speaking of one of my favorites, though, bam, dude, Redo. Oh my God, this is another one I watched for Fantastic Fest, and I can't spoil this one either. These are tough to talk about, honestly. I'll put it to you like this. Redo follows a mother who has lost her daughter to a murderer. A serial killer, one of the victims was her daughter. We're put into the story after that, several years after that's happened. The mother, in no way that's explained to us, has obtained a multiverse tool, a time machine essentially, that can take her to different multiverses, different universes, parallel universes. She is using that tool to go to every multiverse that she can find, trying to find the one where her daughter is still alive. And when she does it, when she goes to that multiverse, and the murder's already happened, which continues to happen over and over and over again. She said that she's time jumped 1,000 times in it. Think of how long that would be. So every time she goes into a multiverse and her daughter has already happened, her daughter's still dead, she kills the killer, and she becomes addicted to killing him. So it kind of takes on a different path where she just assumes her daughter's gonna be dead, but she keeps doing it because she loves the feeling of killing him. And then she also inadvertently meets a teenage girl in one of the multiverses that she goes to that she knows is also a victim of his. So she meets and befriends this girl, Mia, who's her daughter's age, around 15, and she kind of takes on a new mission to protect her, to keep her from getting killed. I can't say a lot about it, but you've got to see it. I don't know when it's going to be available on demand, but it is absolutely a 10 out of 10 movie for me. It's in my top 3 of the year currently. I even put it above movies like Sinners because of the inventiveness of it and doing something different with that multiverse story. One that was like, I'm not going to put it on Please Stop because I love Elvis Presley so much, but there was a documentary that came out last year that was a Netflix original called The Return of the King, Elvis Presley. And it's basically the story of his comeback in the '68 special. I'm a huge Elvis fan, so for me to put this on no thanks, basically it was extremely Wikipedia. I mean, the documentary was essentially his like friends and colleagues and the narrator, the filmmaker, I guess, reading the Wikipedia page. I didn't learn anything new from it. Now, if you don't know anything about Elvis and you're interested in how he kind of gained his fame back after being out of the public eye for like 7 or 8 years with that '68 special, it is really intriguing, but I already knew all that. And like I said, it was told to me as if I was a 5-year-old. So, I mean, like I said, if you don't know anything about Elvis, you might like it. So you guys know that I love that movie Friendship, right? Sacramento is in the same vein as that movie. It's a movie about 2 dads who are kind of having midlife crisis and finding each other, going on a road trip together. And in this case, one of those dads or one of those dudes is Michael Cera, who I am absolutely charmed off my ass whenever he shows up in anything. I love that dude. You've also got his wife being played by Kristen Stewart. I'm a huge K-Stu fan as well. But Sacramento just tells the story of him, his best friend, losing his father. And he comes to Michael Cera and he says, hey man, will you come with me to spread his ashes in Sacramento? And Michael Cera doesn't really want to do it because his wife's pregnant. He's kind of freaking out, having a midlife thing of his own, but he decides to do it to be a good friend. And when they're on road trip together, it just, a lot of emotions and friendship stories and plot twists and stuff happen. And Michael Cera's phenomenal in it. It is a really, really good independent, like, drama comedy that is crazy underseen. All right, guys, buckle up. You might be surprised when I tell you this. This is a movie that I cannot wait for you guys to see. It is a hard watch. It is a gut-wrenching, realistic horror film. Like, when I say a horror film, I mean the horrors of, like, real life. It is, man, it's actually gonna be hard for me to talk about. It's my #1 movie of the year as we're sitting here. I'm recording this on July 31st, and it's the #1 movie of the year so far. It's a movie called The School Duel. It is shot in all panoramic black and white. So it brings in elements of the Hunger Games, those types of films where it's like a competition for survival, right? It takes place in the future. They don't give us the exact year, I don't think. It's in Florida, though, which I thought was hilarious. But it's in Florida in the near future, I think it says. So it's like 10, 15 years in the future. And school shootings, or mass shootings, predominantly at schools, but mass shootings in general have gone rampant in America. Tough subject, right? Because some could argue that that's happening. So in this imagined future, what the government has done, because mass shootings are legal now, guns are legal. There's no limit on the type of gun. Like, that's why they're so rampant, because anybody can have a gun and use it and do whatever. So what the government has decided to do is that once a year, they take the highest risk threats, the red flag threats, gun owners, gun violence, whatever, however they profile people to think that they're, one of the worst that could, do a mass shooting, and they have them enter this contest and kill each other, basically. And if you are the one left at the end and you kill all the other threats, then you're seen as a hero and you're sent off to a secluded, like, you have your own island. They give you like $1 million. They take care of your family, like all this shit. Obviously, the government's corrupt anyway, but we also learn that in this film too, which throws in some different wrenches into that plan. We connect to the young boy who enters the contest to kind of please his family lineage. His father was military. Even though he's not really a threat, we know that as the viewer, but his profile would consider him to be, playing the first-person shooter video games and the YouTube searches that he's doing and the military stuff that like he could be stereotyped in that way and profile, which he is. So that's part of the story too. It is a very, very deep film that really moved me because, like I said, I love and I hate when a filmmaker can tell a story that's fictional, but you go, I could literally see that happen, being prophetic. And that's what makes it tough. Phenomenal, wonderful film that knocked me on my ass. The School Duel is not available on demand yet when I checked to record this video, but as soon as it is, I will be letting you guys know. And I'm also not sure if it's going to get a theatrical release. You got to see it. It is a tough watch, but you'll just be blown away by it. Another one that I was blown away is an action drama called She Rides Shotgun. I'm going to put that on. Pretty damn good. This is another independent film starring Taron Egerton, of course, Elton John from Rocket Man. Basically, he's an ex-con who is released from prison, and the first thing he does is go to find his 11-year-old estranged daughter, and they're on the run together because his wife, the kid's mom, his ex-wife, was killed because he hasn't paid back the money that he owes the people that sent her to prison. So he would have rather stayed in prison, in other words. So now that he's out of prison, they killed her. They gave him X number of time to pay the money back. He didn't do it. They killed her. The daughter doesn't know that. So he goes to pick her up from school the day that her mom gets killed. And from there, they're on the run because they're saying they're going to kill the daughter and him next. And so it's a bit of a father-daughter road trip movie and them kind of reconnecting, but a lot of action, a lot of hand-to-hand combat, a lot of shootouts in the movie. And I'll just tell you real quick, keep your ear and your eye on an actress named Anna Sophia Hager, who plays the young Polly in this movie, his daughter. Holy shit, guys. July was the month of child acting, because I mentioned Q Lawrence, who was in The School Duel too, by the way, and then he was also in that Marshmallow film. Well, Anna Sophia Hager in She Rides Shotgun, an old soul that you would think has been acting for 50 years. I mean, the emotion when she finds out her mother was killed, she sees it on the news, that's how she finds out. And the emotion when we get to the climax and what's happening with her father and how they were able to connect over the course of like this week or whatever. I mean, I can't believe it. I mean, you really can't believe that this 12-year-old girl got that. And she didn't have any acting credits. I mean, aside from like probably commercials and TV stuff maybe, but I mean, God bless, dude. It makes me wonder what I'm doing in my life, to be honest with you, because she was absolutely breathtakingly phenomenal in this. St. Clair is a horror action movie that stars Bella Thorne as a college student who is haunted by the ghost of a man that she killed a couple years before, and he just kind of hangs out with her like her imaginary friend, kind of. And she has the ability to go somewhere mentally that turns her into a killer, and she's always killing men of low stature, like rapists and murderers and, people that like Dexter does on his TV show, basically, except it's Bella Thorne doing it. So look, she's hot. There's a couple cool kill scenes in it, but it takes like an hour to get anything going in this movie. And it's a lot of like pretentious filmmaking tricks, like with camera angles, and she's quoting Joan of Arc over and over again in the first like 10 minutes. Like, I didn't hate it, and she was really good in it. She really surprised me because I think of her like Disney Channel and The Babysitter, like comedy kind of slapstick stuff. But this was definitely drama, like heroine stuff, and she did a good job. And then 2 mainstream releases are going to wrap us up. I did a full review for Superman. I won't spend a ton of time on it. I'm just going to put it on the Sure I Guessed here. I'm one of the very few people in this space that thinks it's fine. It's okay. You know, the problem with it is that it was too much like the stuff that I don't like these days, which I mentioned already is the loud CGI colors and noise, and the whole city gets leveled and nobody cares, and you're jumping between dimensions and other characters are being introduced. Even though the movie's Superman, we have 15 other characters we have to get to know. So I didn't hate it, and I know people are going to come at me. That's fine. I know you guys loved it. That's fine. I want a Superman movie where Superman the hero gets a cat out of a tree. You know what I mean? I want a Superman that is flying in to save a boy that's falling off the Niagara Falls railing, or you know, a terrorist attack in Paris. You know, the stuff that we used to get that was like daily routine stuff, not jumping universes, not portals, not alternate dimensions, all that shit. It just got on my nerves. And last but not least, a movie that I just saw last night, another midnight showing that I decided to go to, and it's Michael Shanks' Together, which was one of my most anticipated of the year. And I'm going to put it on pretty damn good. I'm not going to do a full review for this one because there's a lot of movies this month that I don't want to spoil for you guys, that if I tell you what I really, really loved about them will be spoilers. So I actually thought about doing a spoiler review for Together for everybody that's seen it, but I might do that a little bit later when more people have had a chance to see it, because I think it's just coming out nationwide on Friday. Just to sum it up for you, which you probably get the gist from the trailers and the marketing for the film, but Dave Franco and Allison Brie, which are a real life couple and they were producers on the film, so you know it meant a lot to them, basically move out to the upstate New York in the middle of nowhere. They get a house out in the woods out there, and it's a body horror film that deals with the themes of your soulmate and codependency and the reliance on your other half, your significant other. And there's some supernatural elements built into it with some of the stuff going on in the town there. And because of their romantic or their relationship situation and the supernatural stuff in that area creates a situation for them. And that's all I can say. And you know, the trailers have done a good job at kind of hinting at what's going on, but not really telling you. And that's kind of what I want to do too. But it is a movie that has amazing visuals, and actually it has two really good fucking jump scares. Like, I didn't think that this would be a movie that would lend to the jump scare, like you think like Conjuring and shit like that for jump scares or slashers. There were 2 like well choreographed, well planned and thought out jump scares that really scared the shit out of me. It opens this Friday. Together is a fucking crazy eyeball popping watch, and it was one of my favorites of the month. I'm going to put it on the pretty damn good tier. All right, so looking at the perfection tier, you know I like to order these, and look, we ended up with 5 on the perfection tier. So there were 5 movies in the month of July that I would at least give a 9 out of 10 to, and actually a few of these would be 10 out of 10. So let's rank them. I told you guys already The School Duel is my number 1 of the year so far, so that's going to be number 1. Number 2 is going to be Redo. Number 3 is probably going to be K-Pop Demon Hunters, and then I'll put Naked Gun right there, and Diane Warren's Relentless documentary at 5. So there you go. My top 5 of July would be The School Duel, Redo, K-Pop Demon Hunters, the Naked Gun reboot, and Diane Warren Relentless, the documentary. Guys, that's it for this tier list. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching this tier list ranking. Let me know what your favorite watch was in the month of July. Did I mention it? Or what movie do I need to catch that you think is on that S tier? And you could even tell me what you think the shittiest movie that you saw this month, and how excited you might be for some of those indie titles I threw out to you this month as well. Let me know all that down below in the comments. I always appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'll see you out here next time in the garage.